Okay, so I'm aware I left you guys hanging on that last video, but you're here now, so you're gonna get your answer. Ronaldo or Messi? Well, it's much more complex than that, as you may imagine. If I go back and think all throughout my life, loving football and all of that, which player I liked the most? Well, when it all started, it was certainly Messi. I love Barcelona. Like that squad, Henry, Eto'o, Deco, Ronaldinho, amazing. And like, obviously, Messi was something else. Like, to see such a young kid be so exceptional, so dominant, capable of things that you sometimes have never seen before, was just unbelievable, man. And obviously I grew to like the guy very much. But at the same time there was Ronaldo, and obviously you're probably saying, oh, you're Portuguese, surely you love Ronaldo a bunch more. And the answer is not really. People tend to forget this now, but like when Ronaldo first started his career, there was like this whole argument about how like he scored so many goals for Manchester United, but for Portugal he never showed up. Honestly, now that I'm older and that I understand football a lot better, I can look at those tournaments where he supposedly didn't show up. I can definitely see that people were wrong. Sure, he wasn't scoring at the same rate he would score at club level, but he was still unbelievable and by far one of the key players in that squad. But regardless, it did get to me. People also kept saying he was so arrogant and such a bad person, and there was so much propaganda in the media. Obviously, as a young kid, I was affected by that and I wasn't the biggest fan of him. Until he won the Ballon d'Or. When he won the Ballon d'Or, it was something special for me because as a little kid, you have dreams, and obviously to be the best player in the world is like the number one dream you could possibly have. And to see someone from my own country, and you know, Portuguese people, we have this thing where like, we're a pretty small country, you know, it's 10 million people. Sure, there are smaller countries, but like, we really take pride in seeing our own succeed. At least I do. And to see Ronaldo get to that level was amazing, and suddenly I was definitely on board of the Ronaldo hype train. And from there on out, he joined Real Madrid. He was the most expensive player in the world, and my love for the guy kept growing more and more every single day. But also there was Messi and Guardiola and that incredible tiki-taka phenomenon, you know what I mean? And I love tiki-taka. I love the early Guardiola days at Barcelona. And yeah, I fell in love with that as well. But then came 2011, 2012, 2013, and it was around that time that, as I mentioned in the other video, I kind of fell out of love with football for a while, so I ended up sort of missing those years of Messi and Ronaldo, and by the time I came back, Ronaldo was like at the top of his game, like not necessarily in terms of skill, but like in terms of accomplishments. He was winning one Ballon d'Or after the other, one Champions League after the other, always being the top scorer. It was unbelievable. It was also one clutch performance after the other and all of that. And yeah, that moment I think was what defined my love for Ronaldo. But yeah, ever since then, of course, both of them have gone a bit downhill. Those years were definitely a bit more mixed. I definitely paid a lot more attention to Ronaldo during the Juventus era just because it was just such an odd transfer. It really just grabbed my attention. And then there was the whole problem with Juventus not playing that well, and Allegri, and then came Sarri, and then Pirlo, which was such an odd choice. Why would you hire a coach that has literally never coached a single squad in his life, you know what I mean? And yeah, then they get Allegri back, and I don't know, a whole mess. Throughout that whole period, Messi is just going through it with Barcelona. They're really struggling. They keep wasting money on these huge names like Coutinho and Griezmann and Dembélé and all of that, but it never seems to work, and he's struggling so hard. Then there's like the whole problem with his interview and all of that, and then he finally leaves, and there's the 700 million release clause. Yeah, it was a really strange period. And yeah, there were some years Messi was better, some years Ronaldo was. Then he also won the Nations League, which was pretty nice for me as a Portuguese. And yeah, it was something. For an era. They're both GOATs. Like, if your question is, who's my GOAT? Like everyone likes to ask these days, well, I can pick one. And I'm not just talking Ronaldo and Messi. I mean Maradona. I mean Ronaldo Fenomeno, I mean even Roberto Baggio, you know, there's so many incredible players. You can't pick one, you really can't. But of course, Ronaldo will always have something going on for him that the others don't, and that is the fact that he's Portuguese. Getting to witness the Euro 2016 was the most special moment I ever lived in football, and honestly one of the most special moments in my life, as dramatic as that may sound. And even though he wasn't even really there for the final, I guess not as much as he would have hoped to, it was still a key element to all of that, and I'll owe him that forever. Him and every other Portuguese player. That is the one reason that I would pick Ronaldo over Messi if you were asking me which one is my favorite. If you're asking me which one is the best, I'll tell you one thing. There is no right answer for that question. It's an insane debate. I would love to one day make a video like Ronaldo versus Messi, ending the debate. It would be amazing, and I'm sure it would get so many views. And all of you would have a great time watching it. But the thing is, even if I were to dedicate like a 1 hour long video to it, I would still not be able to fully grasp the extent of their careers and their achievements. I've always said that in like pretty much every video that I've made about either of them, and I will die on that hill. So moving on to the rest of the questions. What made me start my channel? Well, actually I have kind of a funny answer for that. One of the main motivations that I had was that I kept pestering my girlfriend with stories and little facts and stats and, you know, all kinds of football things. I thought to myself, I need to find some other place to vent, because if I keep going at this rate, she's not gonna stick around for too long. Obviously, I'm joking. She actually progressively grew in love with football more and more, to the point where now she's actually the person who edits the videos, and I could not do this without her. So yeah, definitely shout out to my girlfriend. Who are my top 10 best managers of all time? Again, top 10 lists are impossible for me. There's so many great managers as well. But let's just name a few. Sir Alex Ferguson, of course. Just so iconic, you have to mention him. Mourinho, love him. Carlo Ancelotti, incredible. Not just because he won the Champions League last year, I've loved him for ages. He's just such a charismatic character, you know? You gotta love the guy. Besides that, I'm a big fan of André Villas-Boas, just because of his work with Porto. They were some of the most special moments I've lived in football as well. Pep Guardiola, obviously, the tiki-taka era was incredibly. Manchester City, maybe not so much. Maybe we'll turn it around one day. But so far, I like to, you know, focus on the Barcelona era, at least. So then there's also my top 10 midfielders of all time. Well, again, impossible, but a few names. Xavi, Iniesta, obviously, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Zidane, one of my favorite players of all time. I just realized I actually forgot to put him on the 11 for the previous video, which is insane. Mataus, Seedorf, Cruyff, even Figo, if you consider him a midfielder. Yeah, it's impossible, but here you go. You have some names now. What is the best East European team? Well, I personally don't watch much East European football, but if I had to pick one team, it would definitely be Besiktas. Why? Simple answer once again, Quaresma. As I mentioned, is my favorite player of all time, and watching him play at Besiktas was really cool. Probably his best ever period, even considering the one at Porto. And is Federico Valverde a Steven Gerrard regen? Well, I'm not sure if he's a Steven Gerrard regen, but he's definitely an amazing midfielder, amazing player, one of the brightest young players in the world, and I'm really hopeful for his future. Maybe one day he'll make it into that top 10 midfielders list. Am I José Mourinho? Well, I think people are asking this as a joke because of the accent, and honestly, I'm not sure that's a compliment. Every time I hear him speak in press conferences and all of that, I'm always like, not the nicest accent, not the most favorable at all, so I don't know. So, do you think JJ Alcocha should be a hero, and do I play FIFA? Well, honestly, I do play FIFA with my friends here and there, just like locally, but I've never played Ultimate Team or anything like that, so I have no idea what a hero really is. So yeah, if you want me to play FIFA on the channel, maybe just like a one-time video. I was actually considering making some kind of a football manager video, because it's been like a decade since I've dedicated myself to that game, you know what I mean? I think I played for like a few weeks in college once, but Yeah, right now, every time that I open a Football Manager game, I just quit because the game looks so confusing. But yeah, I think it would be fun to record a video like playing Football Manager for the first time after 10 years, you know what I mean? So yeah, if you're interested in that, just comment down below and I'll keep it in mind. My favorite World Cup, well, 2010, easily. Waka Waka, you know, not that the song is like the most important thing, but like the two songs for that World Cup were amazing. Waka Waka and Waving Flag. Every World Cup needs something of that caliber. It just made it so much better. But yeah, Diego Forlán, the Javelani, come on, it's just, everything about that tournament is just so theatric, you know what I mean? Do I watch cartoons? I actually do. Lately not so much. I watched that show, that Italian show on Netflix. Okay, I just checked. It's called Tear Along the Dotted Line. Amazing, 10 out of 10. I would suggest it to like everyone. But yeah, over my lifetime, I've always been a big fan of American cartoons like Family Guy, Simpsons, American Dad, all of that. I've rewatched Family Guy an unhealthy amount of times, I'm not gonna lie to you. What is my favorite music genre and what's on your playlist right now? Well, I'm really into music. If you've been analyzing the background, you can probably tell. Actually, give me a second. So I have a turntable all the way back there, and if you want to check what I've been listening to, you just gotta look at those two shelves up there. Currently, what I had there was this single by The Smiths. I got it from my girlfriend, she's a huge fan of them, and it has her favorite song of all time, Asleep, on its B-side. I also have this, Carrie and Lowell by Sufjan Stevens. It's my favorite album of all time. Literally. I also have this, Goop by Sonic Youth, a classic. This Velvet Underground album was my latest purchase. I don't know if you guys know this, but like the thing literally peels off. Probably shouldn't do this too many times though. I had this as well, Tins of Denial by Car Seat Headrest, which is also one of my favorite albums of all time. So what's the coolest football fact that I know? Well, there's one fact that I always tell people, and it's that Maldini managed to play against Platini and Cristiano Ronaldo, which is the greatest testament to his longevity. He also even played with Maradona as well. I also tell people all of the time that AC Milan managed to win the league with 36 goals. I think it was 32 matches and 36 goals. That's insane. It's just a little bit more than a goal per game. I always tell them Atalanta was literally relegated that year and he scored 35, just one goal less, which is absurd. I'll probably pick those two. They're just the two facts that came to mind, you know? So, what are my all-time favorite football boots? Well, I'm not a big football boot guy, but the Total 90s back in 2007, 2008, I had these pair. They were yellow and black. Those stuck with me. For some reason, I love those. I wish I could get a pair and try them on again. It would probably feel very nostalgic. So, have I ever been to an away match? Well, actually, I've been to 3 matches this month. Yesterday, I went and watched Portugal play Nigeria. But before that match, I went and watched Vizela play against Vitória de Guimarães away and against Paços de Ferreira away. And well, they were 2 odd games, to say the least. We got completely robbed against Vitória de Guimarães. Like, it was like a whole thing. Every newspaper mentioned it. One of the players literally tripped himself, and somehow the referee gave Vitória a penalty, which ended up taking us out of the Portuguese Cup, which was awful. Well, the next match I went and watched them play against Paços de Ferreira and completely dominated them throughout the match. It was really cool. It was raining like crazy. Like, I was completely soaked by the time I got back to my car. It's a pretty small stadium, and like the stand they have set up for the away supporters is awful. Like, there's no protection from the rain. But yeah, at least I got to watch Vizela win and dominate the match. And oddly enough, you know what I also got to watch? I got to see Nico Gaetan. I had no idea Nico Gaetan was playing for Paços de Ferreira. I don't know how I missed that, but it was insane. Like, I was just looking at him like, is that Nico Gaetan? Like, I literally had to check my phone and make sure that it was Nico Gaetan, because like, Paços de Ferreira, what happened? It's unbelievable. So many years saying he would go on to play for Manchester United, and suddenly is at Paços de Ferreira. I don't know what happened, but I hope the guy is doing fine. Next question, what has been my favorite video that I've ever made? Well, I guess let me take a look at my timeline. So this last video about Mourinho and the 2004 Porto squad was really good. My video on Pelé is amazing. For some reason, people didn't watch it much. That tends to happen a lot for some reasons. Like every time I make a video that I'm super proud about, it tends to not get that many views. I love my video about Kaiser, Carlos Kaiser, really good video as well. But yeah, I don't want to mention every single video I've made. So I guess if I had to pick one, probably Pauleta. Pauleta was an incredible video, such an amazing story. If you haven't watched it, I don't know, put it on like the watch later list or something. I promise it's worth it. It's an incredible story. And finally, did I think I would get this far with the channel? And in the beginning, yeah, actually. I remember like when I was about to post my first video, I had like this delusion that I was gonna make something so good that I would just post it and it would skyrocket and get 1 million views immediately, and I would keep telling my girlfriend, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great, and then yeah, it got like 50 views at first, and I was kind of disappointed. I went back to the drawing board for a few months, thinking whether or not I should give this a shot, and then I came back, and from there on out I haven't missed a single week. And 7 months after that, the channel blew up, and here we are. So yeah, right now I'm just trying to make the most of it, trying to bring you good content, trying to diversify like I'm doing right now. Come on, I'm showing you my face, I'm talking to a mic and a camera, it's wild. And yeah, thanks for watching, I'll see you next week. Bye.